Hello and welcome. This is Alchemistexe, and this is the banner overview for the week of January 5th. It took me a little while to get this out. I've been pretty sick, but I'm starting to feel better. My voice might still be a little off, but otherwise, starting to be on the up and up. So this week, Ragnarok has a new Memento. Tiferet is going to be getting one soon. Just keep that in mind. And then there's also a very excellent banner this week. So I thought about just taking the week off, but there's just too much good stuff this week. So I wanted to make sure to get a video out just in case there's anybody left that's on the fence that isn't sure. So we'll start with Ragnarok. I think if you have neither Memento and you want to get one of them, go for the second one. The max limit break bonus is going to be buff duration +1. And then you can, with the VCR, do a buff nullifying ability, and then that's going to be really good if you want to use Ragnarok in the arena. But ideally in the long run, you get both of them because she's a really good unit. And then you can also get her this week fairly easily, easier than I think she's been in the past. So yeah, let's skip the paid banners because nothing all that great, at least anymore, and jump right to Ragnarok. So yeah, if you want to get Ragnarok, this is the place to do it. And there's a 9-step for her, so that's just nice. And transmuting her is not an option anyway, so it's, if you want to get her, this is the place. There's a special featured selection, so if you've already got the ones that you want and you want the coins, you're going to get the coins anyway, because maybe you want to get Ragnarok Gate 7 and you want to get enough coins to do that. Then this banner is a good way to do that, because that way you can focus on both her and other units, and if you're really lucky, you'll get them, and then you'll get some 100 shards of them. But to try to get new units, less good, and you just really only do it if you were going to get the coins no matter what. Okay, so let's jump to the amazing banner. So this is not the first time this banner has shown up. It showed up around the anniversary, and now it is back. So you can pick 6 units. There will be the only 5-star units that appear. And then on the third step, the full price step, you're guaranteed to get one of the 6. This is a really good format. I mean, it's not foolproof. Like there is like a worst case scenario, but this banner is so good that even if you do get the worst case scenario, still not that bad. You're still ending up with either a new unit or 150 shards of a unit. And because you can decide which ones they are, almost everyone can benefit from this banner. The only people I would say should pass on it are going to be if you have a really hard time filling up those 6 slots. Because even if it's only 5 out of 6, like if the wind just does not blow your way and you get the one that you didn't want, then it wouldn't have been worth it. But that's a pretty edge case. So for most people, this absolutely excellent style of banner. So we got the Ragnarok mementos. So step 5 guaranteed. Not much to say about this other than what I said earlier about which one to choose. And then we have a not so great memento banner. It's sort of the counterpart of the unit one, except not really, because there's no limited mementos available. And so it just doesn't hit the same way. And that is about it for the new stuff. And then if you are hoping to get, say, Nikaya stuff or other New Year's mementos, you can still do that. So that is about it for the covering of the banners. Now I want to go into some summoning, and I will show you the worst luck I think I have ever had in this game. It's pretty amazing. It's horrifying, but it is kind of spectacular in how unlucky it was. So let's jump into that. Okay, so the game plan here is going to be several steps of the selection banner and then a little bonus at the end. But some of that's going to require context. So as you can see, off to a bad start, and it is an omen of things to come. So I already told you it's the worst summons I've ever had. So, obviously expect to see bad summons. So we'll go into a little bit more about that, a little bit about kind of the summoning odds and Gambler's Fallacy. So originally I was thinking I would just do 3 steps, use the discount ticket on step 3 and call it good. But I was so dissatisfied with the results because normally you a banner this good, you can just really benefit from just every single 5-star you get. It just makes a huge difference. And it's such a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of other banners where, you might get the featured unit and that's great, but like most of the time pulling a 5-star just means more normal pool units. And it's such a great break from that. But on the downside, when you don't get 5 stars, it just hurts all the more. And that was a position that I found myself in. So it basically broke down like I wasn't happy with the first 3 steps. So I did another 3 steps and they were even worse. And then I was like, at that point, I was morbidly curious to be like, all right, well, how many steps does it take before I get like something that's at least halfway decent? I didn't want to go beyond 10 because I spent a little bit of money just to get to that 10. And, obviously if I had a ton of money, I would spend it and then like just see how long it takes for just the sampling distribution of the mean to actually get to where the number of non-guaranteed 5 stars I got actually got to 10%. But obviously I don't want to do that. That could take hundreds, possibly if I was unlucky enough, thousands of dollars. I don't want to do that. That's not worth the curiosity, but to do 10 steps, that was, within my means. And I was curious. When I get to the end, I'll actually tell you, what the final number was in that regard. I'll give you a hint that was not good, not even close to 10%. But there is one thing about this banner, though, is that even when you have the worst possible luck, like I'm ultimately going to come out of this with something fairly decent. And that really just speaks volumes about how good this banner is. Like the 2 main things that it has going for it are the limited pool that you decide, and then the fact that a duplicate is 150, because you can go really far from like 0 to enlightened, depending on how your luck goes. So speaking of luck, one thing I wanted to point out is that with the rates in this game, as I understand this, I could be wrong, but my understanding is that they use seeded summons, so they take some kind of data. I don't know if it's account number, time of day, whatever that information is, takes it, outputs a seed, which is these specific units in that specific order. If you ever go on Discord and look at the rules, sometimes you'll get people being like, oh, I got this same set too. So what they can do with that is that because they've never been very transparent about how their rates work, if they have a ton of seeds and those seeds all average to 10%, they could achieve that by having some that are having a very, very small amount that are just massively stacked and a very, very large amount that have 0 5 stars. And if it all averages in aggregate to 10%, then they can say that's what their rate is. So I think that I was definitely feeling it on this run because, as I mentioned earlier, it's not even close to 10%. So it's just something to be aware of. Really, it's just you do a summon, and if you get the thing, you get the thing, and if you don't, you don't. And I'd be really, really aware of that when it comes to the 2.5% banners that have been getting more common, because I just don't think those are worthwhile. It's just for a chance to get these units with a fairly meh consolation prize. Like the consolation prize here is great, so it doesn't fall under the same logic. But in the case of those, I just, especially when it's for paid gems, they must just think we are the most like desperate people. Like it's not what I want to see. I don't mind throwing money at this game under the right circumstances, but not under circumstances like that. But yeah, I finally got the Rathalos trio. That is something that I definitely wanted to do, even though I'm always oversaturated on fire, but oh well. Also, Yura, like I'd be really curious if I had like, functionally unlimited disposable income. What I would do is I would swap Yura out for another unit I think she was in slot 5. I'd swap them out and then just do a ton of summons and see if the unit that was in the same slot as Yura would be as frequently occurring as she was, because, again, it's not like that crazy probability wise, but it is like pretty crazy that she was the overwhelming majority of my 5-star results. I got 6 total, including the guarantees, and she was like 4 of them. Speaking of, and I wonder about that, because sometimes I notice that when I do. This happened on the Nimul one as well with Quentz's second Memento. I just keep getting the same results over and over again, and I kind of wonder about how the summon seeds are created and why that happens. But I don't have anything, that's beyond mere speculation. So yeah, that is it for the selection banner. So at this point in time, I was feeling pretty down because those were the worst summons I've ever had. I spent a small amount of money just to get to 10 because I was really curious, am I going to get to 10? What's my final rate going to be? That final rate, by the way, was about 3% of my total of like all of the summons minus the guaranteeds. So about 3% of them were 5 stars, which is just, absolutely terrible. Not even close to 10%. So I had to pay gems anyway. I have a few units that I would love, well, more than a few, that I would love to get 100 shards of. And when you can redraw 23 times, definitely not bad. I normally, okay, if you can't redraw at all, stay away from this kind of banner. And if you can redraw a small amount of times, I'd still stay away from it. But once you get to like 23, that's not too bad. I will say, though, that depending on what degrees of rarity you hit, you should definitely stop immediately. Like, I think anyone who's in the 5-step unlimited category, if you see one of them, you should just cut it. Or if you have two limiteds that you like, immediately call it good, even if they're not the highest degree of rarity. Because as you can see, most of these are just absolutely not good. So it's really just relying on complete just numbers game of just keep throwing at it until something sticks. There's some pretty decent units showing up here, like Era, for example. I just happen to have my Era almost totally enlightened, and I still have over 100 shards of her lying around, so I was aiming my sights a little bit higher. And just to spoil things a tiny bit, this did end well, which was nice because I wanted to see something good happen after that just absolute nightmare of an experience that was summoning on that banner. But that being said, even though it was a nightmare, I now have a Yura that is almost fully enlightened. Like, she's not all the way there. I'll keep farming her shards until I get her there, but I got gate 2, I got gate 5, I got gate 7, I got gate 6. Altogether, just pretty sweet. I don't have a great grasp on how good of a unit she is just yet. Her kit is pretty solid. She's got Alchemic Overload. She's got 2 different damage types. All in all, I think in a vacuum, a good unit in an element that kind of needs her kit. But what I mean is how good she is as far as my dark setup. Like, is she going to add something to the team, or would I be better off just keeping the setups that I've got? A lot of times with dark, I tend to use Soul for magic, Ignacio for missile, Kudenstein for pierce, Zengi for slash, and then everything else is just kind of based on the context of the level. But I do like the fact that Yura's got Alchemic Overload because I've been blowing stuff up with Ignacio quite a bit lately. And so she'll fit right in that camp. So yeah, I just think that really says something about how good that banner style is, and that you could have just a horrifying experience like I did, and then even then still walk away with a few new units and a unit you can enlighten that you previously had almost no shards of. So if anything, that should make you appreciate how excellent of a structure that is, assuming that, you stand to benefit from it. Because it is still just like normal limited units. And if your sights are solely on like Genesis or Dragons, then, it's not going to help you. But because I don't have anything really big that I'm looking for, like maybe Lindrake in the future, I didn't mind throwing. It ultimately was about 12,000 gems, including this summon right here, which was definitely more than I thought I was going to at the beginning of the week, but I think I'm all right with it. So yeah, as you can see, once again, there is another Yura. She just is haunting me this way. And then I got Claybo, and that is just immediate. That's an immediate stop. Accept the results. So yeah, so that is it for this week. If you are summoning, I really hope you had better luck than me by at least 3 times. So I will see you all next time.